All right, so number 2 is one I definitely relate with. And it still gets me every once in a while, but I hear this over and over again with people trying to get an internet business, and that is they get overloaded with all the information. So number 2 is information overload. And, I think it is smart when you first, you're getting interested in something, you're excited about it, and you're just devouring information from every angle. You're reading books, you're getting on email newsletters, you're just trying to absorb whatever you can. And that's probably not a bad idea. You get you can learn things very quickly, get into the game, gain some confidence because you got some information and foundational information. But then the problem is that phase doesn't end at an appropriate moment, meaning that if you just continue to devour information from every angle and take in all these email newsletters every day with somebody saying, oh my gosh, this week I made X thousand or X million dollars doing this, and you're like, oh, I should be doing that then. It's so easy to get distracted when that is the case. It's very detrimental to your progress, because really in the end, what's ultimately going to move you forward is focus. And this is where knowing why you're doing it can help, because it can help you choose that thing that you should focus on. And, so what we recommend here is that you want to pick, people, they don't pick one system or source of help or source of information and just stick to it. They've got 10 people they're listening to at once, and they don't know, in the end, they don't know who to listen to, and they, maybe it's whoever's making the most noise in their inbox at the moment. And so you find yourself going all over the place. And, early on, for a limited amount of time, it's okay to do that, but you got to know when to stop and go, okay, now, I'm going to focus. And this, to help people, for instance, in the academy to overcome this, even people who'd come to the one particular place and they've chosen the academy as their place to go and learn, even there we wanted to make sure they weren't getting overloaded with the information. So we made these weekly action guides that the average person, even with a full-time job, could go through, just bit by bit, and just say, okay, here's what you can do with the few hours you have set aside this week. Here's what you should just do, these 4 or 5 things, and that's it. Yes, there's multiple, several different courses, but everything's laid out chronologically. Don't look forward, don't look back, just do this right now. And, because it's interesting. Sometimes we'll talk to somebody in the academy and they're like, oh, hey, this traffic course I was thinking about buying, should I get it? I got an email like this a couple of weeks ago, and somebody asked me this, and I said, well, is your site up yet? And they said, no, I'm not there yet. And have you chosen your niche yet? And they're like, well, kind of, but I'm still kind of dialing it in a bit. It's like, okay, well, then you're not to the point of needing traffic, and we'll even get there. So, and even though we would have made money on a commission by them buying this course, I said, no, don't buy the course, because it's going to be overload. You're not there yet. So just stop and focus. And they took that to heart and said, okay, that's great. I'll hold off on that, and let's just keep chucking away at what I've got. And this is something I learned when I was in real estate investing, is at first it was tough, because you're like, oh, somebody's talking about, buying and rehabbing houses and flipping them, or some people are talking about buying, old decrepit houses and wholesaling them to people who want to fix them up, or you've got subject to, and you've got short sales, and you've got, there's all the different directions you can go. And it wasn't until I just said, okay, I'm going to focus on short sales. That's it. I'm going to find houses in foreclosure and work out deals on them, and that's it, that I actually made some money in real estate investing. So that focus and not getting, knowing when to turn off the faucet and just take the info as you need it. It's the information diet, and follow through with it methodically from one source and one system is critical to overcoming this barrier that I think gets all of us at some point. And the important thing is to be able to recognize it and stop it at the moment that you do see that that's something that you're facing.
Yeah. Now, this was yet another problem I had at first. I bought just tons of courses and was reading as many blogs as I could. I was on 100 email newsletters, just wasn't able to keep up every day. And instead of actually taking action, I was just printing stuff out and reading it and highlighting it and putting it in. This pile was the to read pile, and this was the to take action pile. And both of them were just always full, and nothing was ever getting done. Yeah. So I did the exact same thing. Now, the solution to this, of course, is to unsubscribe from the email newsletters and the 100 million blogs you're attached to, and just pick one system or course that fits your style. Now, Lindsay B. of writingforyourwealth.com has 3 questions to answer before you buy a How to Make Money system. And here they are. Number 1, do you trust and identify with the person selling the system? Number 2, does the author of the system actually do what he teaches? And could he duplicate his success today? This is actually a really good one because there's a lot of people saying stuff and they've never done anything. And that's a lot of books are written like that. They just research it and then they write something. Or their success system is from 7 years ago when the internet started.
Yeah.
That one always kills me. They made their money right when it started when nobody else was out there competing. And now they're teaching the system they're teaching it from all the way back then. Anyway, that's very important there. And number 3, have you already purchased other how to make money systems? And if so, did you do anything with them? Yet another important thing. That's where I ended up sitting down finally and going, wow, I've got 4 systems I paid big money for. And I went through them and decided which one I was going to do. And when it started happening for me, it was because I went, I'm just going to do this one and see if it works. And lucky for me, it worked enough that it got me started. And then, of course, I created all the stuff around it. But it wasn't until I actually sat down and said, I'm not going to keep learning stuff until I take action on every single step.
Yeah, that's such a simple, those 3 things that she brought up. When I saw her share that in Twitter, and she's a member of the Academy, so, I took notice of her name and said, oh, I'm going to go check this out. And it was so simple. Those 3 things was like, yeah, you know what? That's it. A lot of people could benefit from just listening to those 3 steps right there, because I know I've been bitten by that every time, or at least once, I should say, in the past, each of those, not looking in deciding what system to go with and where to get my information from. All right, number 3 is that the number 3 thing that holds people back, or the reason they fail, is because they don't act fast enough. So here's the deal. We've talked a lot about taking quick and bold action in the past, and I don't know. It may just sound like some hype or trying to get you all excited, but there's a very important reason. I think there's a number of reasons, but one of the big ones is that as quickly as possible, you need to get proof to your mind that you can do something, that something works, and even if it's just small little incremental successes at a time, it's really important to get that as quickly as possible, because if you just sit there in the theoretical world, and that's, with the information overload, and that's probably one reason why people are so afraid to exit the information overload, is because then they actually have to start acting. But it's an amazing thing when you just start taking small steps, it starts showing that proof to your mind. It's like, wow, this does work. Wow, I can do this. Wow, bit by bit, I am going to arrive at this goal. And, we've had some people, for instance, take our coaching course in the past, and then when they share feedback or testimonials or whatever afterwards, they're like, wow, it actually worked, and it's like, yeah, you just had to do it. Look, and now they're like, wow, this is cool. Now I feel like I can go out and really make all these things happen that I've always wanted to.
That always makes me laugh.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, and,
it actually works. We're like, what do you think?
Yeah.
But of course, they've gone out and tried other things or started and didn't finish other things. So of course they're thinking, well, I guess it sure is going to be like that. We're like, no, it actually works. We've done it multiple times.
Yeah, so make sure that you're not in that in that mode of being afraid to act, because it's easy to think, as long as I'm in learning mode, I can't fail because I'm not acting. And that's a big gotcha. And I understand the fear and the feeling there, but the truth of the matter is that if you just start little bit by little bit, and there will be some stumbles and things, but if you just keep acting as quickly as possible, very soon you're going to start having those little successes that just make. Even it's it's so cool when somebody starts their first email list, like in the Academy or something, and they're just like, oh my gosh, today I got my first 3 opt-ins, and it might be easy to take something like that for granted after you've been doing internet business for a while, but to them that's the biggest thing. They're like, wow, I put something on the internet and 3 people decided today that they thought it was cool and they wanted more.